And although most of us are on lockdown, we are more now connected than ever on digital platforms. And digital platforms, which now as chefs and employees of the food industry, find ourselves depending a lot on them, from posting the recipes or technique or anything else on Instagram, or even uploading photos on delivery platforms and other digital platforms. So we get the consumer to buy into our product and businesses. First of all, to introduce myself, I am Chef David Albitar from Unilever Food Solutions, Middle East. And in the next 45 minutes, I'll be discussing with Mr. Jay about the food photography. He's a food photography specialist who will talk us through simple measures and creative methods so we can take to make our profile and food photo stand out. So hello, Jay. And before we jump in, we would love from you to introduce yourself, please.
Hi, David. First of all, thank you so much. It's a fantastic week for me, and I can't actually ask for more to actually finish my week with this lovely chat today. Well, before being actually a photographer, I actually started my career as a chef, and I was a chef for 10 years. I actually started my career in London, then I just moved to Switzerland, and I was in Saudi. So then I just came back to Dubai. Also, with the chef's experience, I was a food safety manager. I opened actually a few hotels in UAE as well. So during this time, I just got fascinated by photography, and I just started photography as a little hobby. And then, then I just joined certain clubs, and
Nice.
I started shooting food. Then people said, you know what, your food photography looks different, and your food photography looks unique. So it's because you probably come from a chef's background, right? So that's where the passion for the food photography started. And then I just started as a freelancer. And then one day, suddenly I just got a call from Talabat saying that we are just looking for a freelance photographer to do some of our projects. And I just went there and I did a project. And then they said, okay, so now we're actually looking for a full-time food photographer for us, right? So that time I was actually 35, and no one takes this career change at the age of 35. But I said to myself, you know what, this is a fabulous opportunity for me. So I just left all my 15 years of my hotel career.
Wow.
Boom, I actually went into food photography. Now I'm actually handling the food photography. I'm actually the regional visual content manager for Talabat. I'm handling 7 countries, including Egypt, and we have almost 15 to 20 photographers working with us. And we have a separate editing team as well back in Egypt, so who's actually supporting with us in all food editing. So that's about me.
Perfect, nice. Thank you so much. You guys,
My pleasure.
We're lucky that you are an ex-chef, so and I'm sure you're still cooking, so you understand our challenges when it comes to taking photo. Like simple tools that we have in hand. So this is guys what we really need to take out today from Jay, which is we will benefit from his experience, and definitely I encourage you to steal from his experience with the pride. Okay, whatever he says, we really need to note down and make it happen.
I'm going to learn from you guys as well today. It's going to be
Thank you, Jay. Thank you.
Yeah, pleasure.
So guys, stick with us until the end, because I'll show you now. We will be presenting a PowerPoint so you guys can see what's the topics that we will be discussing throughout the session. These are the 8 topics: why good photography is so important, different style of photography, menu photography, food delivery platforms, and social media photography. So we see the difference between both. And then the common mistakes that we usually ourselves do when it comes to taking photo to post on our social media, how to shoot different food styles, and definitely the recommended equipment that we are waiting for to know what are the equipment that we really need to buy, and then make this happen. So to stick with us until the end, and you can see, guys, in this Q&A box, you can drop in your questions, whatever you want to ask or to learn from this webinar. Please drop the question, and we will make sure to answer all your questions throughout the session, or maybe at the end of the session. So yes, I think we should start. Yeah, let's get started. First of all, let's start with the first topic or question. Why do you think, Jay, the good photography is really important for the food industry business nowadays? And
Needless to, thanks, David. As you know, it's actually needless to say, photography, I mean, we are living in the era of actually digital platforms, like, I mean, probably when I started my career as a chef, we never had Instagram, or we never had even, like, I mean, Facebook live options, or, like, I mean, promotion through Facebook, right? But now if you really look at it, like, I mean, people don't spend much on their billboards. People spend actually more on their social media handles and things like that. So it is definitely, I mean, when you have a good photography, this is basically a brand voice for you, like, I mean, before even people make the actual connection with the brand, you just give them an opportunity to understand who you are as a brand, or as a chef, or as a person, right? And also, more importantly, it is a connection between the restaurant and the consumer as well. For example, if I just order a food from a delivery platform, right? Probably I never tried that restaurant before, but when I see a good photograph in front of me, it actually brings that connection between, like, it actually creates that connection between me and the restaurant. And yes, of course, there's like lot other things as well. You make a decision, you buy the food, then once you just like the food and like the service, then you build the trust, and you build the connection. But in order to make that first connection, to the good photography plays a huge role in there. Also, it also influences the people to make that buying decision as well, right? Let's say sometimes, when you just scroll down the menu and you have multiple options, and you don't know what food is that, probably when you just see the picture, that picture tends to make you hungry, and you say, you know what, bam, this is the dish I'm gonna buy, so
exactly.
in a nutshell, it is a brand voice, it is a connection between you and the consumer. More importantly, it helps the consumer to make that buying decision as well.
Exactly. Actually, you've mentioned a very valid point here, or important point to all know. Recently, what's happening, like most of the restaurants are going into delivery platforms and like doing deliveries. So because of the pandemic and the lockdown and all those stuff, so
Yeah, absolutely.
it's really important to know what is best for our delivery platform to post on. The type, the style of the photos, and all this stuff. So yeah, these are the two. And the other one, which is our personal Instagram profile, or the digital platform where we post our recipes or the photos. So are important also to show our like how we do things in a good way. So we need to show it to the people in the right way. So I'll jump into like, let's talk about the different style of photography. I mean, what do you tell us about the different style of photography, so we can discuss together?
Well, when it comes to photography, there are actually different, I mean, yes, there are actually different styles, but different styles also goes with a different purpose as well. So the first and the foremost question I ask my clients or my restaurant partners is, yes, you took a decision to take the photograph, but where are you going to use the photograph, right? So based on that, we could actually go with the styles of photography. For example, we have Rudy, please, can we go back? Yeah. For example, this is a simple style photography. I mean, you don't spend much time on styling the dish. Basically, the chef prepares the dish. He makes the dish in appealing manner, and me as a photographer, I just have a background and a little bit of styling, the minimalistic approach, and I just take the photograph. So some of the restaurants, they want just a simple style photography, so we could actually promote this kind of photography for them. And next,
so basically, Jay, when you say like it depends on the customer himself, or the restaurant owner or manager himself. How do they want to showcase the food photos on their menus, right?
This is a great question, David, because I personally learned this as a photographer in the last 7 years. Because earlier, what happened, whenever I go for a restaurant, I tend to tell the restaurant, you know what, you need to do this, you need to do that. But once I just submit the photos to them, there is a gap, because the owner had a different perception and I submitted something else. You know what I mean? So then
Exactly.
after just working with thousands of restaurant partners, I learned this in a hard way, saying that, you know what, when you're doing a commercial food photography, it's not about you, it's about what the restaurant wants. So it's always good to, or it is a, it's not about good or bad, it is a right thing to do. If you're a chef, nobody other than you knows what should be shown to the customer, or like on what kind of mood you want to create, right? So end of the day, it's all about your vision and your perspective. And of course, I can always guide you with, I can probably give you suggestions, I can give you options, but end of the day, it's you, it's
Exactly.
the restaurant that makes the decision.
True.
Next comes the style dishes. I mean, when I say styled, obviously, you tend to show what is in the dish. For example, you spend 10 to 20 minutes styling the dish. For example, probably this dish took almost 20-25 minutes to style it, because I need to bring all the right ingredients that's going to show on the photograph, right? For example, this is a grilled shrimp salad. So I need to use the right tomatoes, the radish, so that when the viewer sees this dish, he or she knows what is there in the dish, right? And particularly if you see, we just added some water droplets on the tomato as well, because that shows the freshness of your producers, right? Like chef
Yes.
just washed the tomato and add it in the salad. So next comes the style dish, and then also we use some crockeries, like, I mean, we use some antique fork, and we put some wine tomatoes on the wine at the back, some peppercorns, so we spend time to create and recreate the dishes. So that's why it comes under the style category.
So I think Jay, you've said something really nice in here, like the water droplets on the tomato. It shows that it is fresh. So you encourage us, if we want to plate something, to add like the minimal touches, so it shows that the freshness of the ingredients, especially if you're shooting salad, for instance, like you have greens, you have tomatoes, you don't want to show it in a dry type of vegetables, right? So
Absolutely.
this water droplets in here makes a really big difference when it comes to the photo itself, right? So I think yeah, we should do that.
Definitely, because the thing, sometimes what happens, right? Food photography is something, it is actually a difficult subject for many photographers. And the reason why actually food photography is different and difficult for many photographers is is the knowledge of the food, because they don't know the knowledge. I mean, they don't have the knowledge of the food. That's why they work with food stylists. But I'm like blessed, and I'm actually fortunate, I must say, because I come from the chef's background. I don't work with the food stylist, because I do half of the work of the food stylist, because I understand the food. So that's why I know, like, for example, tomato is like a fresh ingredient, so I should maybe add water to it. And probably if there is a boring dish, I could probably add a sauce dripping, or if I make a sandwich. Next comes the rustic presentation, which is obviously, it's not a fine dining concept, but you can just throw whatever you want on the board, and you could just I mean, particularly these shots are very good for a street style food, street style, and
Like
also
delivery.
Delivery, it's like
I mean, fast food type of concept
fast
and sandwiches,
food.
like
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
you need to show what the customer will receive when he orders a sandwich or a French fries.
Absolutely.
So
And
there are
also,
no other toppings on top of the
And also this kind of images are recommended for a restaurant's header image, particularly when we go for Talabat and Zomato shots. I mean, to the shoot, what we do is they always ask for a header image. I mean, the cover image, to say, or to show to the customers what restaurant you are, right? So we could probably take some of the best selling items. We can just lay it on a board and just take a cover image, and that can actually tell people what you serve and who you are, right? So this is the rustic. And next comes our favorite, minimalistic. You know that in like today's world, everything is minimalism, right? So I mean, the world is changing, so this is also one of the favorite style of photography for me. Just the food itself, a little sauce on the side, and then you can always add a very, very little touch of the, like chefs, right? Whatever, though we spend a lot of time on preparing the dish, we always take a piece of chervil, or we always take a sprig of parsley, or a sprig of coriander.
Yes.
So that touch is in me always, right? So whenever I see any fresh basil sprigs or chervil, I always throw it on the board to create that styling effect, right? And also for this kind of shots, um, yes, you don't spend much time on what goes on the board, but you need to be careful on the board itself, because you need to just find that right texture. For example, this texture what I have, it's like one of the uh, top liked by my clients, because they actually like this kind of granite kind of finishing, right? Kind of chalkboard kind of thing. So you need to choose the right board, make the food look in the right way, and with just a minimalistic touch.
I have a
um,
question, Jay, here. If,
yes, yes,
so
David.
so basically, as you said, like this piece of basil next to the plate itself, it makes a difference somehow. Actually, there are two questions in here. First of
Hmm.
all, the background of the photo itself,
Hmm.
which is the board where the plate
Yeah.
is placed. So it's really important to match the color, or to match the color between the background and the plate. So for instance, if I'm using white plate,
Hmm.
what about the background? It has to be different color, darker color than the white plate, so it shows the plate itself. Let's talk a little bit about the contrast, so we know how to choose the colors of the plate with the background and the food itself. So what can you tell us about this one?
David, as you know that I just come from a chef's background, I'm very particular when it comes to plates as well. I never use plates of different color. I'm very very particular with the white plates, and white plates goes very well with most of the dishes, right? And sometimes
Mhm.
even some of the Asian restaurants, they are starting to use black plates and all those things. But again, if you're using a black plate or a black bowl with the black mushroom, you're not going to show the mushroom out. So it completely depends on the food what goes in there, right? You can use a white background, and you can use a white plate, but if you're using a nice salad in it, still the salad is going to pop out, right? So but still, I will not definitely recommend whiteboard for a white plate. So try to have a contrast in there, right? Like for example, this
Exactly.
one, I used a black chalkboard and I have a whiteboard. This looks popped up, right? You could see the bowl, you could see the smoked salmon, you could see the leaves in there, you could see the cherry tomatoes, the pickled onions, the loloroso, so it depends
Exactly.
on the plate, and it depends on the background as well. So if your plates are white, you try to go with some little bit darker tones. Gray works amazing for most of the food photography. And if you're using a darker board, if you're using a darker plates or something, still yes, you can use the darker board, but it depends on the food inside. If you're using a noodle, obviously you can use a black board and um, blackboard and the black bowl. There is actually nothing wrong with that. But again, there is no right and wrong in this. You could do probably a little bit more trial and error. You could probably, when we do the
And
shoot, sometimes we keep changing the bowls, because we
exactly.
take a shot and we see, no, this is like merging with the food. So let's change the plate. So there's always a trial and error, and we actually learn from that.
So I think this the point here is, it's still okay if we plate and then we try again in different bowls, so we know and understand the plate and the ingredients we are putting in the bowl with the background. So it's okay if we plate the dish and replate it again and replate it
It,
again
but
until we
but
master, which
but
is good,
please,
which is good. This is how we
but
learn
please,
anyway.
but please don't forget, sometimes chefs doesn't have actually patience. Like, when you just keep on changing the bowls or something, sometimes the chef gets very very upset. So as long as the chef will support you, you can just change the board as much
No,
as you want.
yes, you are absolutely right. I'm talking about if we are doing things to ourselves. Let's talk
Yes,
about
yes.
like doing this at home or in the kitchen, where I want
Hmm.
to shoot my mobile to post on
Hmm.
my Instagram profile.
Hmm.
So I myself, until now, sometimes I plate something and it doesn't look the way that it should. I was like
Yeah.
expecting. So I have to
Hmm.
change the plate because in the
Absolutely.
camera and the background it didn't work. So it's okay, guys.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, change the plate until you find it is absolutely perfect
it's like
to
it's like
cook.
actually taking a movie scene, right? There's no, you don't shoot one scene and you do the movie. You do several
Exactly.
takes, right? Same, this is just a photo you're seeing, but probably there's a huge story behind this photo. Probably we would have taken 100 photos to take this one photo, you know what I mean? So there's like several things happening behind the scene to make this good photo.
Exactly. Next, by the way, guys, I think you hear we're calling someone called Rudy. Rudy is our colleague, digital support in the backstage.
Yeah, he's actually supporting us with the
slide.
presentation. Thanks, Rudy.
Next slide. Thanks, Rudy.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually one of my favorite style of photography, which is a dark mood. If you really see a couple of, I mean, if you see 3-4 years back on Instagram, everywhere you see dark mood photography. People, I mean, that made a revolution in the industry. Now everyone wants to have a dark mood photography. So yeah, it again depends on the restaurant mood as well. For example, if your restaurant is a bright and a modern, this 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 may not suit your concept. But if you're a Asian restaurant, or if you're a rustic restaurant, like, I mean, this kind of concept is going to really help you a lot. And it's also a touch of minimalism as well. So it depends again on the food. Not like all food works on this. You need to choose the food type that will actually match this photography. But this is a great style of photography, and it's also my favorite style as well. So next comes our
next. Now we need to talk about now we know about the mood. So I think it's a process to take a photo of a dish. It's a process for the photographer, or for the stylist, or for the chef himself. So he needs to pass through a process so we can understand the identity of the restaurant itself, the dish itself, what ingredients are we putting in the plate, and the plate itself, and the background, and the light. So there is a process we need to follow. Now it comes the different style, the different photography. We have the menu photography, and we have digital platform photography, right? Something has to do with Instagram and stuff like that. So we will start with the menu photography, which is, you will tell us what needs to be done when it comes, especially for delivery platform, because this is number one topic that we are discussing. And number two is our daily life routine, digital posting with our mobile, or shooting with our mobile. So let's talk about the menu photography first.
See, as you actually rightly mentioned, like, I mean, during your conversation, I actually noticed one key word. That's the identity. The identity is the most important thing, right? Because you need to produce results based on actually who you are, right? So when it comes to menu photography, there are like simple tips. Keep it simple. Like, I mean, if you see the hummus photo here, because this is for a purpose of the customer to see what he is getting when he's paying the 10 dirhams. For example, if I'm paying 10 dirhams for a hummus, I need to know what I'm getting, right? So keep it simple. You don't have to add too much of dramatic elements to it. So keep it simple. And for the menu, when you're like shooting for menu, you're not going to use only for menu. You may use it for your social media. You may use it for multiple purposes sometimes. So and also you may give it to different platforms as well, like Talabat, Zomato. So it's better to keep always in a landscape format, because when you take a portrait, you're basically limiting the photos to one size. But if it's in a landscape mode, you can always have multiple options, So keep it simple. Rule of thumb. And sorry, you want to say something, David?
No, I mean, you said, like, I was saying that, keep it wide. I mean, you can see the whole plate, so you can cut, you can do whatever you want while editing the photo before posting.
Absolutely.
That's a valid point.
And also be authentic. Like, I mean, for example, I could have, I mean, earlier, what happened, whenever I take a simple dish like this, I always add a partner to it. For example, I would probably add a bread, or I would probably add something to it, right? But like, what happens is, if you really look at it, if that bread is not going with the hummus, there's no point in showing that bread as well. Sometimes what happens, people just add things just for the sake of adding it, and again, that creates a lot of confusion as well for a customer. I may think, what, this hummus is served with a bowl of fatoush, you know what I mean? So it's better not to add anything that's not going with the dish. So be authentic and show your customers what they are getting, rather than what you want to show,
Excellent. This is actually, Jay, an excellent point when it comes to show what you will be serving for the customer, because sometimes we go into digital platforms to order something, and we find a lot of other elements in the photo. Because usually when we go there, we order based on the photo, because we know that hummus called hummus. We don't read it, but we see the photo first, because this is what it pops at the beginning.
Correct.
So And sometimes we get confused, like this hummus has maybe an orange juice at the back, at the back side. So we think that we will be receiving an orange juice with the hummus, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that the message here, keep it simple, keep it authentic, keep it for the customer that he's ordering through digital platforms. Then, I mean, without any additional ingredients, unless we are sending this, unless the restaurant are serving this type of food.
I mean, the practical example I can share is nowadays what happens. Most of the restaurants are serving actually burger as a sandwich, burger as a meal, right? So if you're just serving burger as a sandwich, and if you're not serving French fries to it, there is no point in adding French fries as a background. You know what I mean? So burger sandwich, just the burger itself, and if it's a meal, you can add the soft drinks and the French fries to it. So so you need to just get in agreement with the restaurant owner, because sometimes the restaurants may say, you know what, why don't you add some French fries to it? But again, you need to explain to them, yes, I don't mind adding the French fries, but if your customers are saying like, where is my French fries, what you will do, right? So you need you need to sometimes educate the restaurants as well, what can go on the menu photos, right? And the next important point is be straight to the point as well. Avoid like human elements. Sometimes people say, Jay, can I pour the sauce? Can I do something? Can I introduce my chef's hand into the salad? But you know what? Those kind of lifestyle shots can be used for social media, but for menus, it has to be simple, just the dish. Probably what you need to do is when you're like shooting a shawarma and when you're shooting some sandwiches, it's always good to show the length of the sandwich, the length of the food, and the size of the food you serve as well, because these things helps your customers to make that buying decision. Yeah. And also do not crop the images. Sometimes what happens, some chefs, they go into the editing softwares, because they have a little bit of knowledge about editing, they just crop the image because they need to show the image tight. But when you just crop the image, you lose so much of data from the images. Don't crop the images, just do a little bit of color correction, send the full resolution to your delivery platforms or to your partners, and they will just take care of the images. So that's about the menu photos.
Yeah, thanks, Jay. I think those like the major 5 points we really need to consider when it comes to delivery platform menu photography, other than the printed one, which is there's another story, because over there you can add things on top or at the end. So, but for delivery platforms, guys, these are the 5 major points to consider when we really need to take a photography for that. The next slide, please, Rudy, is
there are like some other points as well. Right? I mean, there are like few points as well we can even add for the delivery. Yeah, more or less, yes. But again, there's like one point I would like to mention here for the delivery platforms. When you're shooting for menu, try to understand the menu dimensions. For example, what is the dimension Zomato is using on their menu? What is the dimension that Talabat is using on their menu? And they're like multiple platforms, right, currently. So it's always good to know. And this is why what happens, we as a chef and we as a restaurant owners, sometimes we don't have time to manage these kind of things. That's why I said, don't crop the image, keep the image as it is in the original size. So when you give it to the platforms, they can crop the image as per their requirement always, So that's why this point is like very, very important. So, and also
what about like those another 7 points for delivery? Can you just like take us through in a quick and briefly? So
yeah, absolutely. And for the delivery platforms, I mean, there is like something called rule of thirds. You always keep the images in one side of the frame instead of keeping it in the middle. That's always a rule for the photography. That's actually too technical. But I mean, when it comes to menu photography, you always place the food in the center so that you can have the clear food that is shown. More importantly, the angles are very, very important. I mean, when it comes to delivery platform, we always prefer 2 angles. One is a 0 degree, which is the burgers and sandwiches, and the other one is 90 degree, which is the top angle, mostly for pizzas and salads and things like that. Because 90 degree shots are very good for pizzas, where your customer can see your toppings and all those things. Because if you take a pizza from side, you may see the cheese if you put the cheese extra, but your customer will not see the toppings, what goes in there. So that's why the angles play a huge role in there. as we covered the landscape format already, and avoid the close-up shots. I know that close-up shots and macro shots they're same, so they are like very, people die taking the shots. But what happens is when you do a macro shot, when you use it for delivery platforms, remember, whenever you use images on a delivery platform, it's always a small size image. Sometimes we use less than 100 KB images. So when you take a close-up shot and when we just resize it, the image is going to look too pixelated. Sometimes you may find the image not stretched, pixelated. So that's why we need to use a nice wide shot. So when we crop it, the image still will look in a proper clean way. Yeah. And obviously avoid the human elements. For example, in Talabat, we use like 400 by 300 or 300 by 300 for menu. When you add details like hands and other things, people will lose the focus on the dish. So that's why we say keep it simple and nice. And obviously we use a light color backgrounds, and the main purpose of the light color is because the food has got nice, fantastic colors. For example, for this dish here, right? So when you use a light board, the food will pop up and it will immediately bring the viewer's attention in it. That's why we say use the light color tones. Yeah.
Jay, last question for this point. So, do you advise taking photos with mobiles? Because this is the major subject that we really need to discuss after the food delivery photography. So, do you suggest or do you advise to take photos with our mobiles, even if we have like a high-end, the most advanced mobile for the menu? I mean, for the menu and for delivery platforms. Or,
the thing is, David, currently, I mean, the world is going in a very, very fast pace now, right? Even in Hollywood movies, they do like mobile shots for certain scenes, particularly with the iPhone 11 Pro. It's like magic, right? So currently, you could maybe use the mobile phones for your social media and everything. But for the menu platforms, still like what happens is, yes, for the digital you may use it, but again you just need to have a lot of lighting, because for the food photography the light plays a huge role. Yes, you can definitely try the mobile phone. There is actually nothing wrong with that, but provided you know the lighting techniques and the post-processing techniques.
I personally prefer, when it comes to something we need to post on delivery platforms or menu printing and billboard and stuff like that, we go for professional food photography and even with stylists as well. So we keep the mobile for our digital platforms, which is
absolutely.
Instagram. I mean, so next question is about the social media Instagram photography. Yeah, what can you tell us about it?
Well, there is no limitations in social media. You could do anything on social media. You can introduce the human elements, and this is where as a chef you can play, because you can just bring the whole story into the, like for example, you could use your kitchen tools, right? I mean, I always used to have a knife in my photos, or I use the kitchen towels, the chef hands, and all those things. That's where like, I mean, you can really play with the creativity here. And again, don't forget, be authentic as well. And again, you can't, because like you have a freedom in this genre, you can't just add things that doesn't exist in the dish. You know what I mean? So if you're using a pasta, for example, you don't need to add a risotto as a prop. I've seen like sometimes people just use risotto as a prop, and you will see the main dish as a pasta because it's Italian, but it doesn't make
Italian. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so you need.
So the point here, Jay, is, guys, when we take a photo for our Instagram, even if we are free to use whatever we want, we need to think about the dish and the authenticity of the dish itself, and the trend, and definitely we have to try. There are a lot of trials and errors, so we can learn how to do it. I personally I became better with the time. Like a lot of mistakes happen at the beginning when it comes to social media and on my Instagram. So now I became better because I'm following the trend. I'm searching. I'm copying others. How to take photos, what type of lights, and a lot of things. So guys, you go search, learn, copy, steal with pride. So don't worry, because this is how we learn. We need to see someone professional, someone is doing something better than what we do, so we can learn from him and do it ourselves and make things stand out.
let
So
me let me let me just
yep,
add couple of points here, David. It's actually a great thing that you mentioned. Actually, steal with pride. Like, I mean, even now I'm telling you, if whenever I go for a photo shoot, I always do my homework. I get the brief from the restaurants, and I always go to Pinterest. Even now, I go to Pinterest and I always try to get the ideas, because photography is all about perspective. There's no right or wrong to it, right? You
yep,
may shoot the same dish in a different way, and you will see another photographer shooting in a different way. So it's all about perspective. So even like, I mean, for chefs, if you have a pasta and you wanted to do a creative style of photography, go to Pinterest. Just put the keywords like pasta photography. You will find tons and tons of ideas in there, right? And also Pablo Picasso said it so very. He just said it so well. He said the good artist copy and the great artist steal. It's such a fabulous
nice
thing.
one, nice
And
one.
and as an artist, right? There is nothing wrong in recreating things. And as you rightly mentioned, you always steal with pride. Basically, you're not stealing, you're basically
Excellent.
recreating someone's
Learning, I
work,
mean, recreating.
learning. Exactly.
Exactly. Great. Next question is about, let's see what we have. So these are the examples of the social media
Yeah,
shots that
like,
you've taken. So tell us a little bit, like briefly, about each of the shots, or what to
these
avoid. I mean, the question here is what shots, or what to avoid when we take shots for our Instagram or our social media. What the do's and don'ts, the things that we really need to take care of when we shoot with our mobiles.
see angles, see particularly, right, these kind of angles, they look so good. You can't actually blame. You may say, Jay, what's wrong with the shots? Absolutely, there's actually nothing wrong. Me as a restaurant owner, or me as a chef, I would like to see my salad in a different perspective. But there's nothing wrong. But when you're using for social media, they look absolutely fine. But these kind of photos will not be acceptable for a menus, particularly, like, I mean, particularly with the loads of delivery platform right now. Every platform has got a standard. They say,
Yeah.
like, I mean, what is the size of the image? The image should not be on this angle. So you can do these kind of shots for social media, but for menu photos, avoid these kind of angles and try to keep it a very straightforward 90-degree top shot, or a 0-degree side shot.
Okay. Thanks, Jay. Next,
Pleasure.
Rudy, please.
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
here
common mistakes.
that's that. This is a very very important point. I personally used to do those mistakes,
Uh-huh.
and this is where we need to let everyone knows how to avoid those common mistakes. So we have three photos of the same dish.
Hmm.
You tell us what's the difference between the three and which one is the best, so
Okay.
we know what to do.
Okay, allow me to start this slide with a question. Um, from this three photos, which one you like the most?
So I think they all look good. But the thing that what I see at the third one, which is the bottom one,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more clear, not too bright, which is I see the vegetable and the shrimp
Mm-hmm.
as it should be, like it's not too bright and it's not too dark,
Yeah.
and it's more into details, so it's more sharp. This is
You
how I
know,
see it. I
as
think this is
you
the yeah.
as you rightly mentioned, David, there is actually nothing wrong with all the three photos. But what common mistake happens today is, when it comes to food photography, the most important thing is the colors. If you know the tomato color, if you know your shrimp, if you know your salad color, you need to get that authenticity of the color in your photograph. And this
Mhm.
is where the retouching and the editing comes, because the camera doesn't do all the things naturally. Camera has got limitations as well. That's why after your shoot, you go do the post production, and in your post you try to correct. So the common mistakes, what I see is, immediately when anyone takes a photo, they just go to their Instagram, and the first thing they do is they use filters. And particularly, filters are great for certain kind of work, but for food photography, it absolutely ruins the food color. And this is like one of the reason I just wanted to share this experience as well. Please, if you can avoid using filters, yes, you may use filters, and it depends on a touch. It depends on your personal preference. Sorry, but in order to get the right color, I think the right way, the right thing to do is do not use any filters. Just use a straightforward picture with the color corrections. Boom, that's it.
So basically, Jay, you mean here if I have the proper lighting and the proper like setup of the salad itself or the dish or whatever type of food is, and I take the photo, if the photo looks good, I don't have to filter it. But sometimes I
Definitely.
personally do it. Let's be honest and be realistic, because we're not professionals, right? We're not photographers. So we really depend on the filters sometimes to show the food itself, how the better image or the better angle of the food or colors. So we use filters. So the advice here, as I understood, is use filters if you need to, but not too much, and don't over make up the photo. Right?
No,
Is this what you mean?
I mean, I personally don't like the filters. If you get some filters that matches your food colors, yes. But if the filters are damaging your food colors, it's better to stay out of them.
Yes, it means that if the tomato looks red, don't make it orange in the photo.
Exactly. Right,
yes,
and
great.
particularly the greens.
Good point.
Green. Thank you.
Good point. Thank you, Jay. Next, we have now how to shoot different food. So we know with different food, it means from the angles of the dish itself, and maybe the breakfast or the dinner or the dessert. So is there any difference between how to shoot different type of food or no?
See, from my shooting experience, there is no golden standard for food types, but there is like one standard which I religiously follow, which is what angle is better for a particular dish. For example, when I'm going for a photo shoot, and when I know that I'm going for a pizza restaurant, I know that 90% of my work is going to be a top shot, because pizzas are better to shoot from the 90-degree from the top. Maybe the restaurant may need a lifestyle shot where he may request me to take a side shot where someone is taking the slice of the pizza with the cheese coming out, right? So then it's a different story. So go with the angles. The angles are the most important thing. If your desert looks good from a side shot, you do a side shot, 0-degree shot. But for example, I can't do a 90-degree shot on this. If I do a 90-degree shot on this sandwich, on this wrap, you won't see what is in there, right? So it depends on the dish completely. So if it's a piece of a gâteau, if it's a piece of a cake, do a side shot. If it's a whole cake, do a top shot. So it depends on the dish completely.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you. So we will jump into the next question. So this is like quickly. This is like something as a fine dining type of shots.
Hotel and photography, lifestyle.
Lifestyle, and here also the food styling plays a role, right? Not only photography, because you need a stylist to do all these things. Not only the chef. Yes, the chef will plate a perfect dish like this one, but also the stylist will play around with maybe the props and how to pour and when to pour and all those stuff, or no, only the photography.
See, let me tell you something. When most of my food photography, what I've done, I worked probably 1% of my work with the food stylist. Rest all 99% is done by me and the chef. So I always brief the chef, and the first thing I do whenever I go to a photo shoot is I try to establish the connection between me and the chef. And then we actually take it from there. The chef gets so much involved in it, I get so much involved in it, and then it's like a marriage between the photographer and the chef. And once that marriage happens, you get the fruitful photo out of it, right?
Great, thank you, Jay. So let's move to the next slide, Rudy, please. The most important part, I think, also, because if we don't have what you will tell us now, we will not get any. Even if we have the best camera in the world, right? We need to have certain equipment. So what are the basic? We have two different type of tools. We have the basic equipment and the semi-pro or the pro. So I think the basic one are for the mobile photography, our daily routine, the chef, not the photographer, and the semi-pro if someone wants to maybe uplift a little bit.
Absolutely. I see that the thing is the most important thing when it comes to food photography is the presentation of the dish, right? So you need to style the dish, or you need to just present the dish in a good, appealing way. Once that happens, you could use your mobile phone as well, and particularly the phones like iPhone. I mean, I'm sorry, Apple is not paying me, but I just keep on mentioning Apple, so don't get me wrong. I don't have any commission from them.
I use Apple. It's okay.
So the iPhone is like amazing now. So you have like a lot of things that you can play in the camera, and obviously try to get a ring light. Right now I think everyone is having a ring light, because everyone is having a selfie mode wherever they go right now, so they always carry a ring lights, right? So those like ring lights, continuous lights, are good for your photos as well. Sometimes like I used to carry a ring light with me always, because I used to be a food blogger before. So when I go for food blogging, I can't carry my studio lights, so I always carry a ring lights with me, and those lights can help me take some good photos as well. Obviously tripod is good. Tripod is definitely good to make a nice clear shot. And with regards to the app, there are like tons of app I used to download before, but now with the technology right now, the most of the native app, they have a good camera and the good app. I mean when I say native, it's just the phone's app itself, like the camera app of a iPhone, the camera app of a Samsung. They have the editing tools there, so those cameras are amazing. And if you wanted to really try some third party, I would just recommend to try from Adobe. Adobe Lightroom mobile app is free, and they have a paid version as well. You can always use that app to take photos and plus edit as well. And if you really wanted to take your photography to the next level, or a semi-pro level, you can always buy a small DSLRs. Like the equipments I mentioned here, you just need to spend probably a 2,000 to 2,500 dirhams.
Great, excellent.
You can get a nice camera, little lens, but the boards and props are very important. So yeah, so once you just have this, once you understand the lights, you are done.
Great, thank you, Jay. I think we have an idea of the basic tools for you guys to buy and do the photography, for your social media, or for your Instagram and your profile. So if you want to go a higher level of photography, you need to buy a lens, you need to buy a real camera, and then you need to take some how to use lessons from professional photographers if you want to uplift your skills. I think that's it. What's next, Rudy? I think we've covered everything. Now, guys, thank you so much. Seriously, it was really a nice process when it comes to what to do if we want to take a shot for a dish. So yes, it seems long, but it's something that we really need to think of, from the cooking until the plating, until the photography, so we can get a nice photo before we post it on our social media. So if you guys have any further questions, now we have good 10 minutes to take questions. And I can see a lot of questions in the Q&A box, so we can start. Okay, so how to deal with restaurants who think social media images can used for online platforms?
Well, it's again, right. I face this challenge most of the time. Like, sometimes what happens when some of the restaurants actually send images to us to upload on the platform, and we just keep on rejecting it. So when you have a guideline, and probably what you can do is you can just approach the brands like Talabat or Zomato. You can actually get the brand guidelines, and you can probably show that guidelines to the restaurant partners, and you can educate them with that.
Exactly. Another questions. Okay, I think this is how you deal with when chef interferes with your photography, because many customers expect what they see is what they get, including how you present it. So I think we've answered this type of questions when it comes to whatever you take a photo for a dish. This is what should be served to the customer himself when it comes to delivery platform, I guess, right?
It is actually a very interesting question, and in fact it actually frustrates the photographer to the core, David. As I said before, when I actually started my photography, I don't, because like what happens, right? Artists, whenever you see artists, you feel artists are egoistic people because you just touch the button and they get angry, right? So this is what used to happen. But I learned it in a hard way as well. But when you start your work, you probably get to lose your temper. But as you build your business, because see, photography is nothing but it is artistic work, but it is a business as well. So if you use the business if you use photography, if you see photography as a business, then you will start into customer service, how to make your customers happy, how to make your clients happy. So then you start to take feedback from your customers. You see, so this is the business side of the photography. So you start to take feedback from people, and believe me, whenever you take feedback from people, you always grow.
Exactly. That's a valid point. Thanks, Jay. I think we need to take another question, which is any advice, this is an interesting one. Any advice on taking pictures at night if we don't have studio lights?
Definitely no. Definitely no. Don't take.
Is this because of the yellow light that we have or the white light? Which one is best for the photography? Is the yellow or the white? I sometimes get confused when it comes to
it's actually the white lights are the better lights. Better,
it's
yeah.
better lights.
It's not white.
So
it's like approximately 4.5 to 4,700 Kelvin. That's actually again a white balance technical part.
That's hard for us to understand. Yeah. Maybe we need a special session with you.
Yeah, definitely. Why not?
Okay, so what should be the balance between stage photographs and natural looking ones, specifically for social media pages for restaurants?
See, again, if you see the first photograph, what I showed, right? It's actually a simple style. It's not staged at all. It's just the chef actually prepare the dish. But again, as I said, right, photograph is your brand voice. So if you're serving Omani chips paratha, obviously you cannot show the way you serve it to your customers. You need to probably build it. You need to maybe make the paratha look little nice. So you want to see, the purpose is you want to, end of the day, when somebody sees your dish, they need to buy. So you just do accordingly. It could be natural, but you see from the user perspective, will I buy the dish? If your conscience says yes, I can buy, then just go ahead with that.
Thank you. So I think this is the last. How to deal with restaurants who use stock images on social and online ordering, but when you say something, they get offended.
Well, this is stock. See, for me, someone uses stock photo. The stock photos is someone who don't care about their authenticity. You know what I mean? So if you, no chefs will do that, because chefs are proud people. They are proud of their creations. So probably the owners, sometimes they try to take shortcuts, they try to cut corners, but end of the day, once they lose trust from the customers, because I see something on the delivery platform, but that might be from the other restaurants, and you're not serving it. So what happens? You start to compromise on your values, and you will tend to lose your customers.
Perfect. Last question. Yeah. Is there a specific preference to the lens type we use on DSLR when taking a food image?
Absolutely. You can't use a zoom lens. It's always better to use a prime lens. When I say prime lens, the lens that when I say zoom, for example, you'll get a kit lens 18-35, which means you can use 18 also 35. Those kind of lenses are not good. You will get a prime lens. When I say prime lens, it will have only one focal length, 50 millimeter or 35 millimeter. So the prime lens are very good. And my favorite is the macro lens, which is 105 millimeter for Nikon and 100 millimeter for Canon. So those lenses are the best for food photography.
So again, macro is the zoom one.
Macro, yeah. Macro. It will actually help you show the fine details of the
dish or the ingredients
of the dish. Yeah, exactly.
I think we need to take another one. So sometimes most photo comes with a half-cooked ingredient.
Yeah.
Okay. It is okay with that, or we can request full cooked food and shoot it, because full cooked dish ruins texture of ingredients. That's a good question from Alex.
Yeah, it is an amazing question, because I face this all the time when I go for food delivery platform shoots. Because sometimes the chefs they they burn the fish, and they give, particularly the grilled fish are always troublemakers for you. So it is again a balance. There are dishes. What I do, I don't cook fully. I cook maybe outside. I try to get the nice golden brown colors, and I keep the dish inside a little bit raw. But again, make sure you seal the cooking. Sometimes what happens,
okay, so it doesn't look raw.
it doesn't
from the
look
middle.
raw. Exactly. Yeah.
Perfect. I think we're done for this for the questions. You're tired?
Nice.
Because I can spend another 2 hours when it comes to this
Nice.
to this webinar type of webinar. So guys, thank you so much seriously for your attendance today, and hopefully it was like fruitful as expected from your side. Jay, thanks a lot for your valuable information.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
We really enjoyed it. And guys, so please do let us know if there are any other further questions you want to ask. We're always available. Visit us on ufs.com. Unilever is here for you, and stay safe and stay connected. And thank you again. Good night. Thanks, Jay.
Thank you so much for this fabulous opportunity, David and Unilever team. It was really nice talking to you and nice being with you. Have a fabulous weekend. Stay safe. Stay home.
It's great. You too, man.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.